Initiative. The White House announced the BRAIN Initiative in April 2013. Today, the initiative is supported by several federal agencies as well as dozens of technology firms, academic institutions, scientists and other key contributors to the field of neuroscience. DARPA is supporting the BRAIN Initiative through a number of programs, continuing a legacy of DARPA investment in neurotechnology that extends back to the 1970s. An article in our 60th anniversary magazine provides an overview of the agency's recent research aimed at expanding the frontiers of the field and enabling powerful, new capabilities. Addresses recent advances in memory manipulation from the perspective of the four key pillars of neuroethics: the self, social policy, neurotechnology, and education and outreach. We provide examples for each pillar, assess their neuroethical implications, and conclude with a call for an ethics framework that is specifically tailored for the ethical challenges of memory manipulation. Mary-Alid 1, B6, B7, C. This investigation was initiated based upon information received from XOXO, Security and Intelligence Directorate, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, Arlington, VA, concerning possible possession of child pornography by Program Manager, DARPA, Arlington.
Okay. All right. I just want to start off to say that the reason why I make videos, it's not that I think that making videos is going to change what's happening to me, but I think recording and testifying about what's happening to me is something I need to do before I can do that. I've understood that in this program that we put in, Target Individual, they reconstruct us. They try to create new version of reality and try to make you accept this falsified reality. They manipulate us because at the end of the day, we have to remember this. As target individuals, what we are subjects in this human use of human in this guinea pig way to develop a technology that at this point is used to kind of destroy somebody's life. We are human guinea pigs in this neurotechnological and other remote technology, very, 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 very sophisticated technology that can rewire and manipulate somebody to react in so many ways, in so many different ways. And then they want you to accept these ways of reacting, knowing that it's not how you would react naturally, but try to gaslight you into accepting this falsified reality. With me, I've not been nice in the sense that I don't give them that fantasy. I've been quick and vocal in regard of knowing that this is not something that's not how I would naturally react, and I understand that the reality I mean is I'm a subject in a program where they can make you experience so much things via this technology that this entity such as DARPA have been working for a long time. I've understood that, and these people have no shame to try to make you accept something that is becoming more and more obvious, that somehow you are being manipulated to experience this way. But they think that they can act a certain way. For me, it's been obvious that I'm not going to give you that. So let me start from the beginning. As I'm speaking right now, I gotta be honest, it's becoming hard to speak. You hear me, the struggle of me speaking is because I can feel my brain really being super fatigued and going against whatever my brain is trying to make me do. It's so bad. But I've understood that this is how I'd rather use my last words, if those are going to be my last words. I've been around people who've deluded themselves, thinking that if they can play this fantasy, I'm going to subscribe to it. I've been very mean in regard of not letting them go through that. So, where can I start? And provide some testimonials of the last few days. I know who I am. I know my true weakness, and I know my true ways of reacting to things. Matter of fact, 2 seconds ago, I just got dropped at my place by this Uber driver, and they purposely dropped me somewhere else than where I'm actually at. I thought they were gonna leave me somewhere, but they just dropped me at some building, and I realized why. I saw two people going through a building, right? They were very short, so immediately I looked at them, and I thought they were kids, right? And they gave me the stimulation that they make me have. As target individual, what they have the ability to do is to get you to feel a weird reaction, and you'll hear these things. At this point, every time I speak about what's happening to me, I'll make sure that there is testimonials of others saying the same things, because it's very obvious. And let me just say that what I saw was the back of the head, and maybe from like their like high, like the top of their backs to the back of the heads, and they gave me a weird sensation because of the probability that they were kids. Now, one of them was actually like a mother, but because they're both short, I thought she was also a kid, and so they gave me a stimulation. And then when she turned around, I saw that she was actually like looked more like a mother and or an adult, and maybe the other one was a child. That even though they had the same heights, they stopped making me having this reaction toward her. It's like a weird sensation. It's just hard to say. And in my mind now, because they try to change my perception, they have the ability to go into your brain and make you perceive and even have those memories change into something else. They've even tried to make me imagine this person's like butts or something, to try to create something sexual in a way to give me a sexual perception of these people, because one of them looked like a child from the back, and try to get me to like perceive these kids in a sexual way. One was a kid, one was an adult, so they stopped the perception of like sexual toward the adults. They both had the same height, but it was only the back, and it was just like from the back to the head, and they tried to make me imagine the butt or something and try to create something. There's nothing there, but it gave me sensation because of the possibility of them being children. That's it. And one of them was not a child, and they stopped doing this thing because she was an adult. It looked like more of the mother and the daughter, but they both had the same height. And I'm judging this based on the back of the head. But because of the height, and because their height is a height that's very short, at least look like it could be a child, or because of their heights. But I looked at one of the person was actually like a mother, and I look, it's like, this is actually like a mother, because I was like, I wanted to like, because I take pictures of these things they do to me, because reality and how my brain is processing things is two different things. And so you understand that you are in a program here that has the ability to manipulate your thoughts, your perceptions, and your memories, and all kind of neural ways of processing you. Like the way you just process changes. And so, it's funny because you're surrounded by a whole ecosystem that is trying to make you subscribe to it. So this person dropped, and she looked at me like she caught me. It's like, do you really think in your life that just the back of the head, in which now they try to change it, something of this person would make me feel sensation like this? Like I would subscribe to this? Like a back of somebody's head and the shoulder, and now they try to force me to imagine like the butt, because then like as a man you can look at a woman's behind, and they try to make me perceive that, and there's nothing there. And I don't even think there was anything that I don't even think there was even visible, but they try to create something because they want you to accept this persona that they create. This is a weapon. The way they use this neurotechnology onto us target individual is weaponized. And a way to break somebody down is to make you start seeing kids in these disturbing ways, in these sexual ways. It's a tool to break you down. It's a weapon at this point. They use your own brain as a weapon. And I truly want, I make it obvious. I make it obvious that you think that the back of this person's head will do this, or the back of her back and her head, which now they try to create some kind of like visual of her behind, and try to create some kind of it's so sad. There's nothing. There's nothing that's for them to be like, oh, this naturally will react. You will react to this person like that. This time, like nothing back of the head. And then it's not the first time. Sometimes only the hair can do these things. Looking at the hair, they start stimulating me. I'm getting some like some stimulation, some sensations. So this is just like not too long ago. And this woman just looked at me like I'm like, really? This doesn't look like something's happening to my brain. This is not proving my point more than anything. And she looked at me because these kids they use, or these people, when they see me in person, they know they can not even, they will not even dare come close to me. I'm like addressed in a way for them to understand that, look at me. You, even in your dreamiest of the dream, cannot even come near me. You are not even close to anything. Like you could never even do anything to me naturally. My brain can be manipulated to react in any ways. But if you ever come next to me and you see yourself and you see me, you understand how delusional you have to be. And they know that. I've noticed that they become like very like, I understand that the people they use are aware that this is the way my brain can be played with, just like they play with other people's brain. Now, like I said, a target individual, TIs, are human subjects. The people behind this are obviously in these governmental entities. This is obviously a way to continuously develop a technology that has the ability to have so much power and abilities in regard of what they can do to your brain. It's so obvious that it's those entities that even when you go on their website, if you go, for example, DARPA is the defense agency, the Defense Advanced Research Development Agency, right? They specialize, they call the brain of the Department of Defense. They specialize in advanced technology. On their website, right before you saw this video, I just gave you a snippet of what's on their website. They have something called the Brain Initiative, right? The Brain Initiative is kind of like it was in 2013, Obama did this thing where he just kind of want to make it official that they'll prioritize this initiative to improve technology that can better diseases and condition focused on the brain. So all kind of, and so DARPA decided to jump in. But if you can see on their website, DARPA literally said they've been working on neurotechnologies since the 70s. Now, I think even before that, because you can even go back and hear some of the project, like Project Pandora, when they were talking about electromagnetic and how it can impact the brain in the 60s. But on their website, they obviously show that they've been, and you see that, they've been working on neurotechnology since the 70s, and they even address to continue to improve the power and the capabilities, the surprising capabilities and powers of this technology. Is on their website, and they clearly say this is what they've been working on, the legacy of working on neurotechnology since the 70s. How do you think they've been working on those technology? What brains do you think they've been utilizing to continuously develop this technology? And two, DARPA is a defense agency. It's a Department of Defense agency. It works for the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense works on weaponry or type of weaponry or help defense people for weaponry purposes. So when they talk about they work on neurotechnology, the technology is meant for warlike things, for weaponry. And to develop this, they use human beings as subjects to continuously develop these things. So you know that their job have been to find ways to weaponize the brain. Not only help people that works within, so kind of facilitate them in utilizing this technology or utilizing other technology, so computer interfaces type of technology, but also to target a person's brain and weaponize that brain to break them down. And so it's obvious that when I'm reacting to this way, and I know it's not me, I know that naturally these things will do nothing to me. This person because she's a child, they start giving me stimulation. Matter of fact, they stop making me stimulation on the other person who I initially thought was a child. Turning around, finding out, oh, she's like a mother. The stimulation ended immediately. The perception, the sensations ended immediately. Because as soon as she turned around, she's an adult. Oh, never mind. My brain did somehow turn it off. I stopped getting the sensation. And then that's that. And that's how the things they do. And then there's people who are trying to gaslight you and look at you like, oh, you see, we caught you. It's like, no, I know my brain is how they can play with it. I understand what I'm in. This is what they do. It doesn't take much. And now they even try to go back in my memories. And because it's just so little for them to try to make me accept these things, they try to like make me imagine this person's butt, this kid's butt, or if whatever it is, try to make me like get some perception of her in a sexual way. It's so pathetic. And the driver looks at me and she's trying to look. And this one thing they've done is they try to gaslight you. They try to act like they caught you doing something. Oh, you see how what you feel. I saw what you just experienced. Right? It's like a way to kind of make you identify to something you know is not true. It's like I put something in your pocket and I'm like, oh, what's that? Right? And you're supposed to be like, oh no, oh my gosh, no. And I'm looking at back, I look at her and I was like, I know it's you. I mean, when I say I know it's you, I was like, I know it's what they make me experience, not her specifically. She's doing her part. I was like, I know that's how you make me experience things. This is the technology. I understand. Your job is to make me accept what I just experienced. And when you look at me like that, I'm supposed to be like, oh, you looking at me like that? Oh my gosh, it's so mean. No, I know. You know that I know that this thing I just experienced. Me looking at these people, one of them being a child, or most likely a child. Just based on the height, that's how I'm basing it. I thought, like I said, they did this to the other person. But as she turns around, you see she's an adult. This thing stopped. And back to normal. And then they try to sell off like, oh no, that's you. And you hear these people, my neighbors, but it's everywhere you go, right? Neighbors, people around you, people you go to eat somewhere, there'll be somebody who'll be trying to make you accept this thing everywhere you go, right? And you hear like, oh, I'm a small one. I'm like try to say no because she's small. Stupid. Try to make you accept these things. It's nonstop. And so I have to always make sure that they understand that, I know what this is about. You make me experience these things, and then you try to be like, oh, you see, we caught you. Do you think I don't understand what these things, brain initiative, what that meant? You know what that meant? But DARPA saying that they've been working on neurotechnology since the 70s, and the powerful capabilities they've uncovered. They have been manipulating people. They have the ability to do that. And they use this technology for weapon purposes because this is DARPA. This is the Department of Defense. This is Defense Advanced Research Program Agency. How do you think for 70 years, since the 70s, or even earlier than that, they've been working on people like, whose brain do you think they've been using? It's obvious. So obviously there's more than just DARPA. DARPA is the one working on technology, but there's people who architect these things and figure out how to implement things. And I know CIA is also involved in it because they also, early on, before including DARPA, worked on how to manipulate somebody's brain and mind control. So now you combine that with like the capabilities and technological aspect of DARPA, and then you add the Department of Defense foundings and all the different agencies included. Then you have a whole ecosystem around you try to make you accept these manipulations that this technology is capable of making you experience. Now, this is just what happened today, but it happens all the time. And there was little babies that they do this nasty stimulation, and it's so nasty, just like nonstop. I get like sensations in my groin to create a stimulation that's sexual toward kids. It's disgusting, but that's meant to break you down. This is a weapon system on us, but it can definitely be utilized in other ways. For me, they're using it as this technological weapon, but for others, they could be using it for, at some point, to better them, to, like, there's so much good things that can come from that, but we're not in this program. We're still being utilized for the weapon aspect of these things, and they weaponize your brain in these disgusting ways. Meaning they manipulate you in different ways. So when you hear me talk, now even talking is becoming harder and harder and harder. And I've been making a lot of videos. I understand that as I'm speaking, they also try to change, because it's machine learning. They need more samples, and they get better and better and better, and they'll be controlling more and more of my speech too. But they've done so many forced speech, make me say things that I didn't mean to say. I'm trying to say something and something else come out. That's what they do too. But I would rather take this risk and say what I need to say till I die. Now, before I finish this video, I just want to also say that, man, throughout my whole weekend, I was with a perp. Unfortunately for me, I know that the people I'm around are contracted to do certain things. I know that their job is to do this. Give me a second. Okay, sorry. Like I said, I know that. I know that the people around me are meant to break me down. This weekend I was with a perp. I know she's a perp, and to see her just having to dumb herself down, it's crazy, because then she tried to compensate by showing me what she's capable of doing, like when she doesn't have to dumb herself down. And I see this back and forth. It's just so sad. And they create a reality that is so full of BS. It's sad. I went to a place where there's a lot of people, right? Let me just start with that. And man, there was people who they were trying to make me look at in different ways, in different perceptions. They even tried to. I remember I went to this place where there's like a gardener, and I'm looking, and as I'm looking, and this is a place where there's a bunch of tourists, right? I'm going there with my this date who's actually a perp, and I remember somebody was sitting in the garden by herself, and she just the way I just looked and I see her, and she basically, it seemed like it was set up for me to look at her. I see her, and I'm like, they try to, like, usually what they do is like they want me to look at teenagers or kids or somebody who's young and try to create some stimulation. I'm looking at her, it's like she's changing perception. My perception of her is changing. And I'm looking at her, she looked more and more like a younger person, like maybe a late teen, but she's by herself. But at the same time, it's like she could be a little bit older. But I'm like, they just try to force me to perceive her in this better way, like in an appealing way. And I look at her, she's like looking small, petite, and small, and and they try to then manipulate, because they have this ability to play with your perceptions, to make me think of this. I was watching this reality show about this like divorced couple, and they were Asian, right? And they were trying to morph this woman I saw, who was a very beautiful woman, right? Maybe in her 40s, maybe late 30s, something like that, and put that face into that person because she was also Asian, and try to morph those together so I can start looking at her in a more appealing way. And in my mind, it's like they've combined those two people. Now I don't know how old is this person, or one. It's just like guessing. I'm not gonna always guess right, but she's like a small petite. She could go from like a 17. On top of that, being an Asian, not disrespect to the race or anything else, but some of them you just sometimes like you're not even sure. But she look like late teen, maybe, and I'm like, I can't. But I know this perception of this person is forced. Matter of fact, so forced that you make me imagine this person, this divorced woman in this TV show. And because she's Asian, they try to find ways they can combine and morph the way you see people. It was crazy. And you hear, and I'm looking back, I'm like so tempted to just take a picture because I know the reality of what I see on the picture, on like what's real versus in my brain are two different things. In my brain, they have the ability to morph things differently. I'm now imagining her to be like this 40-some-year-old Asian person in this TV show that I was watching. And because this woman is a very beautiful woman, they try to make this little, not disrespect, nothing wrong with her, but try to change that. I was like, well, just so I can see her more appealing ways instead of what she is. Nothing wrong with that. And because they want me to start like looking at these people in this appealing way, it's manipulated. And then I'm in this place, and you see this guy tried to say, oh, you like her, huh? And I'm like, you clown, get out of here. You think I'm subscribing to this? Because I was like, I kept looking and trying to figure out like what's happening. And it's like, I know you guys play my brain, you play my perception, you're morphing this woman into this person, whatever she is. And she's by herself too, like in the gardening, like it's like, okay. But now, and it was not that only when I was going into that place, there was this person that they couldn't morph her with anything. But man, they were trying to make me look at her. And that's that. Throughout my whole like traveling, and there'll be like one person, for example, because I was driving with this woman, right? And this woman, she's not even a woman. This person I would call was in the middle of the streets, not even crossing. She's just standing there looking at her phone. And I look at her, it's like she's kind of like a teenage looking, and she's kind of like shaped in certain ways. And they're trying to make me look at her breast and try to make me imagine her in a sexual way. It's so disgusting. Try to force me to look at her in a sexual way when in reality she will do nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. Meaning that I will not find any stimulating things about her. I will not find her appealing. I will not find any, but the way they've tried to make me perceive this person, most likely because she's a teenage kid, to try to make it, she had like like work uniform, like she looked like either she was working in a coffee shop or she was working in a salon or something like that. And she was just there in the middle of the street, and the reason why she was just there, she wanted me to look at her so they can start messing with me. I was like, oh my gosh. And then later on I go into dinner, and I hear these people talk, oh, she got nice titties, because they're trying to make me look at this person's breast and try to force me to look at her in a sexual way. They'll try like, look, this person will do nothing to her. No, nothing. They try to try to make me look nothing. She's covered. Everything is covered too. Like she has like what stupidity. It's like you have to understand who you are, because they're gonna do their best to use this friend of yours to weaponize it and to torment you, and they have the ability to make you perceive things in extreme perverse ways. Not to say I'm insane. I've looked at women in very sexual ways. I know my imperfection. Oh my gosh. But you recognize that this is beyond. This is not you. This nothing? So I don't mean to insult her, but this person? Do you think you can do anything to me? This person in the back, they try to mess with me in the back of the head. It's crazy. And they have this argument. No, this person in the back of the head of this one of this Hispanic. Trash. So they weaponize your brain by forcing you to perceive things in different ways, and they have purpose all around you that try to make you accept these things. It's like, nah, you're lying. This is why once you hear me speak, you'll hear others say the same thing. I want to show clear patterns of what they've been doing. And before that, it was even more nasty things happening with babies. This person showed me a picture of somebody who's no longer with us, and she had in that picture is an old picture of this man, and you see a little girl. You can see it barely like, and she's wearing a bathing suit, like a little girl bathing suit. In my head, the way they've just changed that perception of this kid, who's obviously now maybe like much older than me, but that picture with him and this kid, it was so disturbing. And they try to make me accept these things and be like, no, remember what you did as a kid. That's like, listen, I know who I am, and I know that this nastiness is what you guys are renowned to be doing. They force you to look at kids in these sexual ways and perceive them in the sexual ways to torment you. It's a tactic used to weaponize your own brain. If I wanted to make you lose your mind and have ability to control your mind, what would I do? I will make sure that I'll make you experience disturbing things all the time. What's more disturbing than that? This is meant to break me down, break my self-esteem down. No, if anything, I look at these people for the trash that they are. And then this guy is trying to look back. He's like, oh, you're going to die in hell. I looked at him and said, you piece of shit. I'd rather die in hell than do what you do. Bunch of low-life pedophiles. This guy, he tried to be like cool walking away. And, he said, you're going to run there. This person, first of all, he's like a 5'2", 5'5" guy. They're doing things to my body. And I can see the color of my skin is changing. This man looked like he was turning gray. He was gray in front of it. Like, they even look certain ways. I don't know if because they play this foul life, they have this foul life, but I can see this weird grayish looking man who's young, but his skin tone is just like gray. And he kept trying to make me, because they brought back how they make me perceive these kids in the bathing suit, in this picture, in this disgusting sexual way. And they wanted me to be acceptive of this. And they tried to then make you feel good. You're going to die in hell for that. I was like, listen, wherever I'm going to die, however I'm going to be tortured, whatever torture I'm going to experience, this nastiness that you make me experience is what this technology does. But you nasty low life think I'm going to be acceptive of it because you tell me how I'm going to be tortured. Trash, I'd rather die in hell than having to force men and women to experience these things. Delusional trash. It was so nasty. And they tell me how horny this person is going to rape you is. I'd rather get raped every day of my life than make somebody experience these disgusting imaginations. Death comes to all of us. We were walking somewhere, I saw somebody die. Somebody they were paying respect for, somebody who just died. Death is one thing, and they use these losers. I saw them, oh my gosh. You obviously see them, they just contracted trash. Contracted bottom feeders. Immediately you see them for what they are. And they try to use these repetitive tactics. So what? And they're like, no, we're doing the countdown before you. I was like, listen, do the countdown for your life. Because you know it's going to come. They are so disturbed. And so this guy he looked at me, he even tried to look too much. He's like, you're going to ride in hell. And then he tried to look, and I looked at him. I was like, you already fucking die. I already died. I know what you guys do. I know what you guys have done to women and children, what you guys doing to children and women, and I know how you make people think. Ran by pedophiles. This is why I bring. After this, listen, patterns. These entities are filled with pedophiles. This is why, when I look at them, it's like reality. It will always come for you guys. It's okay. Death comes to all of us. If I die in hell, it's better than living in your heaven where you torture women and children and manipulate people to think in these disturbing ways and then delude themselves in this fantasy they put together. He tried to. Immediately when I see them, I just think about all the horrible things they do to women and children, how they manipulate people in these disgusting ways. The fact there's a bunch of pedophiles in these agencies running this low life. The cowardness of this low life. This trash. I rather serve in hell than having to live my life doing what you do. He tried to look at me. I'm looking like trash. You see why these people don't want to be seen? I know what you guys do to babies. I know what you guys do, how to manipulate people. I'll never subscribe to these nasty ways of thinking. They're like, you're sick. Yes, I know what you try to do. You lowlife are the sick, pathetic lowlife who has sold your soul to these pedophiles, to these entities filled with pedophiles, and try to call yourself, yeah, war. No, I'm a human subject. I'm a human guinea pig. And you want me to accept these things, you losers. Calling yourself at war. Came and speak about a pedophile's name. What do you mean? I just looked at him for the trash. He just walked away. There's a guy 3 times his size, tall guy, definitely somebody who will not be scared of me. He didn't even try to look. He waited for him to go first. He thought I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, oh don't you saw you call me, like they think I'm gonna identify with these things. But when he saw me just reacting like, you piece of shit, you nasty low life, you think I'm gonna identify to this nasty manipulation? I know. He just walked away. The other guy just don't even try to look at me. Not because he's scared of me, because he doesn't want to be associated with what he's part of. He thought, oh, he's gonna, the way he said that. No. They'll be like, oh, but they talk about me as a kid. Oh, you molested, thinking that's true. Yo. They like to exaggerate what I did as a child. But this is okay, because it comes from people who actually molest children using this technology. Why it has the capability and the power of this technology, which are interesting words that they use, are unbelievable. The ability to torture people in ways that you don't understand. Nothing is around you, and you can feel like things are coming inside of you, like some things are entering your body, things are paining you. I felt like my growing area, things blowing up in like all kind. But they do this to children. They can give you this molesting feeling, and they've done that to kids. So I know they utilize these molesting tactics onto children. And so when they try to talk to me about me as a kid, and then when they do this pedophilia type of torture, try to make me subscribe to this, I'm like, never. You low-life trash have been using even children as guinea pigs, as you go as war, the warriors that you guys are, been doing this to children. In the reality, I know what they are. They're contracted to do these things. They're paid by the government to do these things. We are guinea pigs. This technology is going to continuously be improved, and more capabilities will be able to be implemented onto this technology, because they're going to continuously use guinea pigs, which are human beings in this case. And so I'm never going to let them live that fantasy. Another thing, then this woman that I'm with, oh my gosh, she was so pathetic. When we went to this place, this garden, there was little girls, little kids everywhere. She wanted me to look at them so bad. It's like, oh, look at the little girl, look, and I will ignore her. It's like, don't even talk to me. I will not, I'll just whatever. She just get frustrated. No, look, there's one little girl that just got lost, right? I could see like a little something walking around, like a little person. I could see that. I was like, I know, they told her to do these things, right? They tried to do some disturbing thing. I could see this little person, and she's like, mommy, where are you, mommy? Try to get my attention. Because, of course, if I see a kid that's lost, you go, oh, where's the parents? Where are the parents? You be concerned. You want to help this kid. But I was like, oh, they just want me to look at this kid so they can do the pedophilia type of torture. In my mind, they try to create all because you want to kidnap this kid. They're stupid. I mean, they're not stupid, but they want you to think in this illogical way. But because you will feel concerned if you see a child calling her out for her mom, you will be like, oh, where's your mom? But me, I'm like, I know. They told her to do that so I can look at the kid. They can do the pedophilia type of torture. And I said, I'm ignoring her. I grab my data like by the shoulder, like, hey, let's go this way. I know what you're trying to do. I'm never going to entertain this. And, I'm going through somewhere else, and I can hear, oh, my gosh. She's like, oh, she doesn't know where her mom is. I'm like, ignoring her. I was like, I know what you're doing. You just want me to look at this kid. Of course, the mother was probably around there. It's like, yeah, I know. You do the pedophilia type of torture. That's the nasty things they do. And then she was so frustrated. That's, on Netflix, there's this show called, it's about kids. And it's like kids doing things very, very wholesome. Like, I would love to watch this show, but I can't because I'm going to be manipulated to experience disgusting pedophilia. I'm sure it's like super adorable, wholesome, heartwarming stuff that I would love to watch if I was me. If I was not going to be manipulated. And it's funny because they want you to subscribe to these things. I was like, I would watch this thing in the heartbeat. If you weren't here, if you're manipulating me, you see how they try to manipulate my speech? If I was now being forced to experience this nasty, nasty stimulation, I will watch this in a heartbeat. I will watch this and it'll be like the wholesome stuff I watch. But now these things is not wholesome anymore. I will get sensations, stimulations, reactions that are disturbing, and then they'll be like, "No, this is you when you're a kid." But it's not a thing to do. This is the stupidity of being a target individual. How they force you to think in these illogical ways, and there's nothing you can do. Stupid, like logic is removed out of you. Then, what they've done. The name of this show is like something about old enough, right? It's and then they try to bring up this joke. I made to make fun of my friend. When I was in high school, in the cafeteria, this guy said, "Man, this guy said this thing. It's like old enough for son, old enough." I don't want to repeat it because in my mind it make me imagine it. And I was like, "This is crazy." I started laughing. I was like, "This is absurd." Because to me, I'm like, it's like dark humor that I laugh about. It's like, okay, it's crazy. That's funny. It's dark and inappropriate, but it's kind of funny because I know it's obviously absurd. It's not. He's saying that to just kind of make a shocking comment, and I see that as that, right? I don't take it literally. I know it's benign in a sense. So I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'll use that to make fun of somebody. I'll find a way to use this thing that I've heard to either make fun of something, but try to for comical purposes. And one day I finally said it to my friend who's doing something. He's like, "Oh, old enough," like I said that thing. And I remember he was really like, "Oh, you got me." It's like, yeah, because it's not really like he was surprised how, like, not witty, but the language was kind of like, kind of witty in a sense, but very absurd things to say and inappropriate. But we had this kind of relationship where this guy literally said that, because I'm very slim, he will say, "Oh, you look like you have AIDS," right? He will say things like that. Obviously, I don't have AIDS, but he will say that. It's like, "He's so skinny. This guy is so skinny. He looks like AIDS." That's the kind of jokes of course, it's inappropriate, but we are friends that can make each other laugh. Like we can insult each other like that. So you gotta understand, this is us when we're like 20 years old, right? And so they're like, "Oh, you see that joke? Old enough, whatever." And then when they do the pedophilia type of torture, that's what you meant. Like babies, like if they're old enough to... So disturbing. So disturbing. And so this show comes out, the name of the show is called Old Enough. And they'll try to be like, "Oh, you see, you proved it because that joke that you made to make fun of your friend and this and that and that you heard." Stupid. And then no, but in 8th grade, remember what you did in middle school. You see, so we mapped it. Nonsensicalness. And the truth in my brain is like, "Oh, you see, the proof of that." These people force people to look at and think about children in these sexual ways. It's so disturbing. They've been rewiring people in these disturbing ways, and this is why when I speak, I of course let others speak too, because it's a tactic that's been done to others. They make these people, make us target individuals experience pedophilia type of torture. And these people, to try to make you accept these things, now they're like, "Oh, but you made that joke to your friend. You made fun of your friend this way. You see, that's proof." "Oh, but remember in 8th grade, you did this damn thing, and you made that joke. You see, that's proof that today what you're experiencing is natural. We are at war. Now you just have to retard yourself." But I know my brain is so weaponized by you guys to use against me to make me think in these irrational, illogical ways. Because today what you make me experience is this disgusting sexual stimulations. I look at children, they make me experience disgusting things. And continuously conditioned to think about kids in these sexual ways. It's nasty. It's disturbing. And these people who are filled with pedophiles, these entities, are trying to make you, gaslight you, and to accept these things. You see, accept me. They try to make me say that I need to accept myself because they want you to accept these manipulations, which will never happen. You guys are pedophiles and low-life trash that force people to see kids in these sexual ways. And they truly have a problem with pedophilia. So to all my target individual, stay strong. Do not subscribe to this nastiness. Know who you are. Because they're going to try to rewire you and even use this illogicalness to try to make you accept these things. Stay strong and listen to what they've done to people.
trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophiles. Like, it's disgusting, disgusting. Take this whole thing into account so much and make it so dramatic. It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophiles. Like, this disgusting, disgusting, disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
I can be free from this torture. Every day has been a miracle of survival. I also experience what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and videos in my closed eyes.
The targets were forced to perform homosexual acts on each other against their will and religion in order not to be beaten or killed. This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice versa is true, that heterosexual targets are forced to view homosexual sexual acts like in the
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow." The nature of the torture I have been experiencing has been highly sexual in nature and highly perverted, involving many combinations of sensory and motor manipulation of my mind and body and of the people around me. This includes many different types of zaps to varying degrees to the genitals, butt, anus, and the entire pelvic area. This also includes many kinds of movements, such as the rocking, swaying, jolting, vibrating, and shaking of my entire body or various body parts, specifically in a sexual way. The severe vibration is a highly noxious stimuli and is very intolerable. They sometimes do pulses or throbbing sensations on the genitals too, etc. There are also body movements such as rocking my pelvic area back and forth, repeated rubbing sensations, the sensation of something going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes, called V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual as well.
What I said. Playing with my dog. Now that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today, they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them, I usually called demeaning names, and one of them is referring to homosexuals. For me, all of the slaves are misfits, society haters, scumbags, etc. No, I don't have anything personal against them, homosexuals, but as my way to aggravate the slaves, and since they love to use children for the torture and stalking, street theater etc. Especially teenagers for the stalking at close range with an attitude, they are using them during my sleep in the perversion program, and so you can imagine what the slaves of torture are pretending to do to me. In the last days, as today September 9th, 07, anything I do, either watching TV or reading of whatever I'm doing, they brush me sort of say, I feel like I'm aroused all day and I feel the palpitations in my genitals for what I'm thinking, and since the attack comes so quickly, I realized my programming has been set on auto, in their central computers, no handlers could do something like this that quick. What make me realized, the slaves are desperate to get me. Unfortunately for them, they are facing a strong wall where no matter how much their computers EAP me, I know I'm not changing. As I said, I feel like they've been set up a beam where I feel constantly stimulated. I'm talking sexually, like a heat in my genitalia, like getting aroused constantly, trying to make me feel uncomfortable, because it doesn't stop.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a dramatic response, Susan, and please give us a congressional hearing. Thank you.
Military medical research. I too believe my experience is referred to as no-touch torture, utilizing defense technologies. Jonathan Marino, he basically predicted all this a number of years ago in his book Undue Risk. I'm asking you to help initiate a congressional investigation. We've all come a long way. This is what is needed. We want to have the accounts of this extreme human rights abuse that's going on in our country documented and heard, all of the accounts. We also need what was done during the Clinton administration, which is a major declassification of some of these documents that are hiding what's been going on. I speak for many when I say we've suffered long enough. My personal experience has been 10 years. I've been vilified. I've been ostracized. I've been tortured. I have burns on my body. I'm an American. I have rights. The answer to the question, the big question today, could it happen today? The answer is yes, it is happening today. It is happening for some of us every day. I am begging for you to help us. Thank you.
And have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant
talks about a total assault on all senses and sensibilities: auditory, visual, tactile, temporal, temperature, and survival, refined through years of practice. Sensory disorientation relies on a mix of sensory overload and sensory deprivation via banal procedures: isolation, then intense interrogation, heat and cold, light and dark, noise and silence, for a systematic attack on all human stimuli. I've been a human subject for experimentation for almost 2 years, and I've contacted Dr. Hall. I stand with a very large group. Excuse me, I'm very nervous, but I'm very tired of having my rights taken away. And thank you for hearing me, and thank you for the others. I would like some help. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I am a victim of organized stalking, electronic harassment, microwave torture, V2K abuse, and I'm asking you to help us end this crime against humanity, which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture. And I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And am a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment. And I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the US, in Illinois, and am a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our third annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a victim of covert electronic harassment and torture. I am a targeted individual.
Hello.
Why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. It's brutally painful. I have a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, first floor, second floor, 2 garage, backyard, land, everything. Can't live in my house. My neighbors are shooting direct energy weapons through my house. I hold my heart like this. You know why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. Come get me. Oh, Lord, because I think I'm dying. I'm making this video
in an attempt to expose this horrific nightmare.
Hello, I'm making this video to honor the 3rd annual Targeted Individual Day. That's August 29th, 2020. My name is Linda Marie Sharp in Mendocino County, California, United States. I am a targeted person and have been for over 12 years. I am electronically tortured by directed energy weapons.
Hi, my name is Lisa Davis and I'm in Duluth, Minnesota. I am a targeted individual.
Went to bed. I had and they had all of a sudden I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and the use their telephone so I could make airline flight, because all I wanted to do was leave Chicago. And so I figured I'd make my plans in a hotel. I didn't think that they could hack the hotel. I was very naive back then. I didn't understand the full technology spectrum or even interest, and all I wanted to do was leave. So I was at a hotel on a relatively high floor, And they had, all of a sudden, I had been there like 4 or 5 days. And the night before I was attacked really bad, I noticed a maintenance man about 10 or 11 o'clock at night messing with all of the lights up and down the hallway. And as, I'm sorry, I get kind of upset when I think about this because it's really messed up. And my spidey sense went off, and I was really kind of nervous about like what the hell he was doing out there, because he was kind of a sinister, he was real creepy kind of person. So the next night, I believe it was a Friday night, I went to bed. I had all of the doors, all the locks on the door, even the one that kind of like goes over that you can't open from the outside. I had everything locked up. Figured I was safe. I went to bed maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, bleeding out of every hole, sick. Someone was in my room, or had been in my room. Food was missing. My dogs were traumatized. I had been obviously sexually assaulted in all the worst ways possible. I got up, first thing I did was vomit. And all I wanted to do was I was just in shock. There was a do not disturb sign on my door, and I didn't do this. And there was lotion all over my bathroom floor. All I wanted to do was just get on a plane and get the hell away from everybody. And I was, very, very sick and in a lot of pain. I had already been denied a rape kit when I owned my house, and woke up, and my hair had obviously been pulled out, and there were earplugs in my bed. And I felt like someone had done something. I went to Palos Community Hospital under the directions of a non-compromised police officer who told me that if anything happened, to go right to the hospital. So I did. And I had a compromised doctor who treated me like a third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test. But she refused me a rape kit.
Know what the magical thing is, but um, you are literally creating new senses that the brain recognizes it. And this may be another human being, maybe a computer. And the Navy, I did some research with the Navy, for example. You can put tactile sensors on the tongue, grayscale tactile sensors that matched up with an image of a camera of divers with sonar. And now they blind the divers, and the same parts of the brain light up under functional MRI with the tactile sensors as if the diver can see. They can see through their tongue. We rewired the brain. And so this is what extrasensory perception is. We're rewiring the brain so they actually have more inputs. Now, there's a cost to that. If you put more senses in, you're taking away from your other senses, and that's what we notice in our research. But we've all heard of people who have been blinded in a car accident or something. All of a sudden their hearing becomes sharper, their taste becomes sharper, and that's because the brain reorganizes, uses those neurons for more distinguishing power. They're getting rewired. They will never be the same human being again, especially if they're under the trauma-based program. Torture, trauma never leaves anyone the same.
Occasion, I was told I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, she's going to get shot in the face. Sound like an angry ass old person. Then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. Stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the Voice of Skull, it's a bunch of females, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing wrong with them? Basically, they call me a retarded bitch and all of this here, but I was top of my
8 billion brains on the planet, potentially. Read them. Effects. But the conversations, the scripts, they're called, are always the same. I've heard them all. They're slightly tailored for each individual, but they're scripts. And they're meant to confuse, the very derogatory. That's just typical breakdown. If you've ever been to boot camp, you're a worm until you're part of the team. And why would you want to break down the ego of that person? To rebuild it. So this gets into creating Manchurian candidates, split personality spies, and information couriers, people that will carry the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this. And so anyway, my interview with Len, he very well described a typical breakdown script that's used on almost all the TI victims. TI stands for targeted individuals. Some of them are pretty crazy. They have names like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and those are the confusion tactics. And when they're breaking down the ego of the human through all the pains and tortures and the verbal breakdown, these are typical CIA torture scripts. I mean, Kubark manual. And they do good cop, bad cop interrogation called Jeff and Mutt. And they go right through the list, right? Just textbook. So whoever the handlers are on the other side of this synthetic telepathy, they're following the handbook perfectly.
Had sexual contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. The CIA did not answer detailed questions, saying only that the agency takes all allegations of possible criminal misconduct committed by personnel seriously. So you're saying the reason why they didn't take this more seriously, why there weren't actual prosecutions that were carried out, is because what they were trying to not only protect their agency, but trying to protect the country from on to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening for whatever reason with more frequency? in our intelligence agencies, or is this something that is more pervasive in the general population than I originally realized? I mean, what's going on here? This is so bizarre.
Remember,
it's so evil.
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
Microsystems Technology Offices, MTO, core mission is to develop high-performance intelligent microsystems and next-generation components to ensure U.S. dominance in the areas of command, control, communications, computing, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, C4ISR, electronic warfare, EW, and directed energy, DE. The effectiveness, survivability, and lethality of these systems depend critically on the microsystems contained inside.